ready to explore some pretty fascinating concepts in the world of science fiction.
Oh, absolutely. Always up for that. Where are we headed today?
Well, based on what you folks have been asking about, it looks like we are going to be venturing on to the Starship Avalon.
Okay.
A luxury liner on, what's supposed to be a century-long voyage to a new world. But things don't exactly go as planned in the film Passengers, as you might have guessed.
Right. Passengers. Definitely a film that gets you thinking about some pretty, weighty stuff.
Exactly, and that's what we're here to unpack today, right? We're going to be looking at how messing with, I guess you could say, a natural human lifespan, how does that distort our perception of time? Like, what does time even mean in that kind of situation? And then, of course, we've got to dive into the whole debate around freedom, especially when you have one person making a choice that basically seals another person's fate. And, kind of looming over all of this is the question of how we find meaning when the future we thought we had just vanishes,
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot to unpack, but it's all right there on the surface in Passengers. You can't watch that film and not come away thinking about those questions.
Oh, I absolutely agree. So where do we even begin with all of this? I mean, Passengers really throws us right into the deep end with Jim Preston's predicament, doesn't it? Waking up 90 years early. I mean, can you imagine the shock, the crushing realization that you're going to die on this ship alone?
Yeah, talk about a rude awakening, right? I mean, he goes from dreaming of this exciting new world to facing decades of solitude. And you really see him struggling to cope, trying to find ways to fill that void, whether it's tinkering with the ship's mechanics or just, having those kind of empty interactions with the android bartender.
Yeah, Arthur the bartender. He's almost like this constant reminder of Jim's isolation, isn't he? I mean, it's a luxury ship, but for Jim, it becomes this gilded cage. And I think that's where we start to get into that question you were talking about. Like, what does a full life even mean when it's completely outside of your planned circumstances,
Absolutely. And that's where things get even more complicated with Aurora's story, right? I mean, here she is, a writer, her whole journey tied to this idea of documenting this voyage and building a new life on Homestead II. And suddenly that future is just snatched away from her.
Yeah, it's not just an inconvenience, is it? It's like this total theft of her carefully planned future.
Yeah.
And then to learn that Jim was responsible. I mean, talk about a betrayal.
Oh, it's a huge betrayal. And we see her trying to deal with it. She clings to her writing at first, almost like she's desperately trying to hold on to her old identity. But you can see that despair creeping in as the reality sets in.
Yeah, it's really heartbreaking. I mean, it makes you think about how fragile our expectations really are.
Yeah.
And what happens when they're just ripped away like that.
And that brings us right to that central debate in the film, the whole idea of freedom. Jim's isolation, even in this luxurious setting, it's what drives him to wake Aurora up. He's desperate for connection, to escape that solitude, even if it means making a morally questionable choice.
Right. And this is a really tough one, isn't it? I mean, you can understand his desperation, that fear of facing decades alone. But then you see Aurora's reaction, the anger, the pain, when she finds out the truth. And you can't help but feel for her.
Yeah, that confrontation scene is so powerful because it lays bare the consequences of putting your own needs above someone else's freedom. Yeah. It's like, can you ever truly justify taking away someone's right to choose their own path?
Exactly. But the film doesn't just leave it there, does it? It's not so black and white. As the story goes on and things start going wrong on the ship, they're forced to rely on each other, right?
Yeah.
And then you have Aurora's decision to stay with Jim, even when she has the chance to go back into hibernation.
Yeah. It suggests that maybe she's starting to see freedom in a different light, not just as this individualistic thing, but also as the freedom to choose connection, even when your options are limited,
It's a fascinating evolution. It's like her definition of freedom expands to include the freedom to build a life within those constraints with Jim.
And within those constraints, they both have to grapple with this question of meaning, right? I mean, for Jim, as a mechanic, he finds purpose in using his skills to fix the ship, to keep them alive. It's like it gives him back a sense of identity in this crazy situation.
Right. And then there's that advice from Arthur, the bartender. It seems so simple, but it's so profound, that whole idea of not dwelling on where you wish you were, but making the most of where you are.
Yeah, that's a real turning point for Jim. It's like he shifts from lamenting what he's lost to actively engaging with the present, finding purpose in their shared situation.
And for Aurora, it's more about reevaluating her aspirations, isn't it? I mean, her original dreams are shattered. So where does she find meaning now?
Well, it's in her relationship with Jim in adapting to life on the Avalon. And there's that powerful symbol of the garden they cultivate.
Oh, the garden. Yeah, it's like this little oasis of life and hope amidst all that cold technology.
Exactly. It represents their choice to create something meaningful, even in the face of loss and uncertainty. And I think that's what Passengers is ultimately saying, isn't it? Meaning isn't something you just find. It's something you build through choices, through connection, through resilience. It's about embracing the present, those small moments, and creating a sense of belonging, even in the most unexpected places.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, haven't we? From a life completely derailed to this intense debate about freedom and the human need for connection, and finally to this enduring quest for meaning, even when everything you thought you knew is gone.
And it all comes back to those big questions, right? What gives a life meaning, even when it takes an unexpected turn? Can a life outside our expectations still be a life fully lived? I mean, Passengers doesn't give us easy answers, but it sure makes us think.
It definitely does. And on that note, I think it's time to leave our listeners with something to ponder. So as you go about your day, maybe ask yourself, what are those essential elements that make a life meaningful for you, regardless of the circumstances? Food for thought, right?
Absolutely. Passengers is one of those films that stays with you long after the credits roll, and hopefully this deep dive has given you some new perspectives to consider. Thanks for joining us.
And as always, thanks for listening. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.